This is Andy Isco and Jim Feist here. There. Hello.
There we go. I see you now, and I think we've
Okay.
been recording, so maybe we need to start this one over, or
Now let's just keep going.
you're gonna edit it out. All right.
So what I'm saying is Oklahoma City plays Tuesday night and New York, Indiana plays Wednesday night. And it's reversed because Oklahoma City played on Sunday. New York played prior to that. You'd think they'd be reversed to give these guys a little bit more rest.
Well, the thing is, the NBA had these schedules determined previously because you have to have a schedule which you presume could take full 7 games. Let's say the past series, and so they deliberately chose uh, that the conference finals would start Tuesday, tomorrow. What is that? May 20th. But they had it so that the Eastern Conference might start on May 20th, and the Western Conference might start a day, well, the other way around. I think they had I'm just looking at it. They actually had Golden State initially scheduled if that series was going to go 7 games. But I guess for TV coverage, for getting the equipment out to where they need to go, they needed to have set dates for these 7-game series to begin. And it was always going to be that the Western Conference was going to start first.
Correct. Okay.
It's just a shame that they couldn't allow for a little bit extra rest for a 7-game series that potentially and did end on Sunday, and then have those teams turn around and play on Tuesday.
The only thing I can see by looking at this, when you're looking at a 7.5 point line for Oklahoma City, granted they had the best of all the teams. They've won 76 games. All the other teams have won in the 50s. But there's only 4 teams left, of course. Now, Minnesota has a tremendous rest advantage for this. They lost the first game to the Warriors, and then after that they just wiped them out. Of course, there was no Steph Curry. The games were really not that close, and that's a. How did they do in the regular season against each other?
I don't have all the results in front of me because I haven't really broken this one down yet, but I do know that the last time they met was quite a while ago. It was the end of February, so we can say that it didn't have to do with teams, kicking in at that point. That Minnesota won by 3, 131-128. I'm trying to see where that game was, where that game was played. But at least it shows that considering how well that Oklahoma City has played all year, and actually towards the end of February is when the Timberwolves started to, oh, you know what? I think I got some bad information here on that one. So, no, I've got it here. That it shows that they could easily compete with Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City had gotten a couple of players back that had been out for a while, but yeah, this was at home, and it was actually here's what it was. On the 23rd, OKC beat the Timberwolves at Minnesota, 130 to 123. They turned right around the next night and played at Oklahoma City, and Minnesota won that one, 131 to 128. That's what was confusing me a little bit there. They played on back-to-back nights in late February.
If you're looking for any edge in this, I would have to say, well, first of all, we know Oklahoma City's been the best team in basketball this year. You just look at their record. The two teams from the East that were supposed to be the best teams, the Cavs and the Celtics, are gone.
Right.
So that's now leaves that down to the Pacers and the Knicks. But speaking of the best team in basketball throughout the regular season was Oklahoma City. Now, the problem here is they're coming off of a kind of rather physical series. No, rather,
Yes.
it was a physical series against Denver. And they, of course, yesterday they wiped them out, but was surprising. But that's a short rest. That's a 1 day off.
Well, the one mitigating factor, Jim, is that they did benefit from Game 7 having an extra day rest after Game 6. They played Game 6, I believe it was on Thursday night, the 15th. The 16th was the Boston-New York ended up being the final game. Nothing was scheduled for the 17th, which was Saturday. So they had Friday and Saturday off, and they played at home on Sunday. Minnesota, of course, is making the Minnesota, I guess, has to travel today because they didn't know where they were going prior to Sunday's game because it was a Game 7. So they didn't know if they were going to be in Minnesota. They didn't know if they're going to be. Well, I think they would have been in Denver if Denver had won because Denver was a higher seed. So they did not know. So there's actually a little bit of travel involved for Minnesota. And maybe they had a little extra time because they could scout both Denver and Oklahoma City, knowing they were going to play one of those teams. But now once they know it's Oklahoma City, they only have, 24 to 36 hours to get ready for them. Not that Oklahoma City has any advantage because they didn't know. Well, they knew they were going to play Minnesota if they beat Denver, but they didn't know they were going to beat Denver until Sunday.
I don't worry too much about the travel. Minnesota, Oklahoma City is not that big of a trip.
No, it's pretty much due south.
Yeah.
Southwest.
But the point spread on this is it opened 7.5. It was 214.5. And we're looking at 215.5. So the total has gone up a little bit, but the point spread has not moved at all.
I'm inclined to like Minnesota.
I totally agree. I mean, just based on the fatigue issue, and the emotions of winning that big game against Denver and in the way they did it. Psychologically,
Minnesota's a good team. They were in the conference finals last year, losing
they're not bad. I mean, yes, there is a 20-game difference between how many games Oklahoma City has won and Minnesota's won, but that's the case with all the teams. They all have played about Minnesota's level win-wise, except for Oklahoma City, who's now definitely the best, highest-rated team left out of the four. And on Wednesday, you got Indiana playing at New York, which it's totally another surprise. Indiana upsetting Cavs, New York upsetting Celtics.
Oh, by the way, one last comment about Minnesota, because what Minnesota win in the regular season, 49. Denver, the team that Oklahoma City just struggled to beat, 150. So there wasn't that much of a difference between the records of Minnesota and Denver, and yet Oklahoma City, who won 18 more games than Denver, struggled to beat them in 7 games. So it's another case for maybe Minnesota getting a few too many points.
Well, yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think the regular season of the NBA is more like one long preseason game.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The Oklahoma City may have won 18 or 19 more games than Minnesota, but the difference between those two teams is not 18 or 19. 18 or 19 games is basically a quarter of a season. There's not that much of a difference between these two teams talent-wise.
Correct. And on Wednesday, the Knicks are 4. And I see it opened 4.5. It's down to 4 in some spots, but I'm going to just say mostly stayed at 4.5. And the total went from 20 to 23. When I say 20, it's 220 to 23. And so both of the games have gotten a little bit of over money, but not too much in terms of line movement. And that is on Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure my friend Paul will be at that game because he's a
At the Garden,
big,
yeah.
yeah, he's a big Nick fan. I would suspect he's going to be there. In any way, and then
Let me know where his seats are, and I'll look for him.
he doesn't sit; he walks all over
Oh,
the
that's right. You told he
stadium.
walks around the arena.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. He he gets his workout by walking all over the stadium. Very funny. He's very physically fit. Uh, the WNBA started last week on
By the way,
Friday.
my thought in game one, and I was thinking about this once we knew the matchup, I would look for this to be a high scoring game, Indiana and New York.
And why is that?
Both teams like to have a nice pace in this game. They've got multiple scores. Of course, Brunson's been absolutely phenomenal for the Knicks, and he's been that way for a few years. I'm just taking a look at the pace ratings. The Knicks are a little bit slower, but they're also not that strong defensively. Indiana's up there top 10 as far as pace goes. Last time they played, they put up 143. I don't remember exactly the earlier ones, but I do remember some high scoring games this season between them. So I actually thought that the total would open up around 224. I thought that was the number that I had pegged for that game as far as looking for the minimum number, the highest number that I would want to play over would be 224.
We're originally going to do two shows here, but since there's so few games, I thought we'd just put it together. WNBA is got a Monday night game. That's Seattle at Dallas. Seattle opened 1.5. It's up to 3.5. The total, I'll give you that in a minute.
I was showing about 163.
It's 61 up to 64.
Okay.
So they've got a lot of now. Dallas, of course, has got the Paige Breckers joining the team this year. Some interesting games so far. Anything that you've seen from the first 3 days of action or coming up on the next 2 days? Because there's 3 games over the next 2 days.
Well, I thought there was a lot of pressure on the rookie at Dallas. Handled it okay in the opening game. A lot of anticipation. They didn't have a lot of time between the draft and the start of the season. I think it was 3 weeks or something like that. Wasn't very long at all. Seattle, I think, was a little bit considering they drew a lot of money in that opening game at Phoenix. I show that Phoenix Mercury when they played on Saturday opened 2, and I saw Seattle. I didn't pay close attention as to the reason why, but they closed like a 6-point favorite, if I recall.
They
and
did.
Phoenix won by 22 points in that game. So, was that underrating Phoenix, or was it overrating Seattle a little bit? I'm not sure. I'm guessing it was one of the two. But considering, maybe it was overrating Seattle for them to draw that much money and lose that badly. I'd like to try and make a case for Dallas. I think the case of nerves that might have been involved in the opener, especially because it was at home in front of a friendly crowd, and now Dallas is playing at home again in front of a friendly crowd. I think the expectation, not that the expectation, but the pressure won't be as great on the team and on her as far as what it was the other night. We don't know so much about these teams, and especially how much they improve when you have a lot of change in personnel. I'd be inclined to look for a play on Dallas tonight.
One thing I will mention here, it opened 61. It's up to 67 in some spots. I mean, that's a lot of over money.
And I don't know if that's a reaction to Seattle giving up 81 points while scoring 59, or Dallas being able in its first game with the rookie against an outstanding Minnesota team, putting up 84 and giving up 99. So maybe they're going by the results of the first 2 games and thinking that we could see a faster pace here. I mean, Seattle Phoenix was only 140 as far as what they scored, but that had a lot to do with Seattle being held under 60.
The one thing about watching line movement in a sport that is not, getting a lot of action, especially early in the season,
and lower limits.
Yeah, and then you start thinking about the sharps and the squares. Let's say the regular player and the sharp money players. They're going to boost this number up to that total. Somebody knows something, and that this early in the season, I'm more inclined to follow, but I'm not. Of course, I'm not going to chase a 6 point move
Yeah.
on a total. But I'm going to say, to me, I'm going to probably pass that because there's more going on there than I can know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering again. Because I'm conflicted. Is it the smart people who are playing the WNBA and creating those moves, or is it the general public who's betting basketball because it's basketball, and the sharp people are analyzing and waiting for the two NBA games, which have great, two NBA series, which have great meaning, or they're going off and betting, baseball right now. Are they really spending that much time on the WNBA, especially in the second game of the season?
I don't know how many people have lines up on the WNBA this early in the season. I know FanDuel does. I see Sugar
Yeah.
House, Bet Rivers, and stuff like that. And I'm sure DK has DraftKings, but I'm going to take a little bit of a pass. Now tomorrow, Tuesday's got some pretty good action. Atlanta, Indiana. Indiana's 10, 169 and a half. Not too much movement there. And Vegas, who just lost on the road to the Liberty, who were the champs last year. Vegas is 12, 166 and a half. Now, we know Vegas is going to come out with fire because they got Asia Wilson. They got a great coach. They got the history of winning championships. And Connecticut is kind of in a rebuilding mode. But 12 on the road is a big number.
It is coming 2 days later after, to the extent you can have an early season statement game. Yesterday's game again, or what was it? Saturday's game against uh, the Liberty would be considered such a game because these have been the two premier teams the last few years in the league. Some changeover right now for the Eagles. I think I was disappointed to see Kelsey Plum traded away for the Aces. She was such the part of the heart of that team that's had the success the last several years, and she's over playing in LA right now, and we saw how she performed the other night as well.
Well, she was a superstar in college and a superstar in the
Yeah,
pros. But
yeah,
she did have some issues, and I don't know what degree, and I'm not trying to make any comments. I'm just reporting the news.
yeah.
She did get married to a Raider, and then the Raider got
That was a
traded.
few. That was a few years ago, and I think they are. I don't know that they're still together.
They're not.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
They're not. I thought they got divorced.
but that was a
Uh,
couple of years ago, I believe.
yes, it was. So I don't know what took place there, but that girl can play basketball.
Yeah,
She was great in college, great in the pros, and the Sparks. That's the L.A. Sparks. If you don't know
yeah.
these last names, but she played a hell of a game that first game. What she have
What was that,
30?
like 37, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, some big
yeah.
number.
That was
So
against the new team, the Valkyries of Golden State. But even
correct.
so, you're still playing 5-on-5, and you're still playing professional athletes. So the fact that it's now, I mean, the only negative for that is that Golden State still has to figure out the chemistry, what combinations work, etc., because it's their first season. But that's taking nothing away from what Kelsey Plum did in that game. And by the way, just going back to commenting on the Aces, they lost the other night. I think they were up by one after first and got badly outplayed in the second quarter. And yet in the fourth quarter, at one point early in the fourth quarter, they had close to, I think, a 2-point deficit. And then New York just ran them off the last few minutes to win by 14. But I agree with you that coming back it's actually 3 days later now after Saturday's game, and laying that kind of number on the road to a franchise that still has some history, and playing at home in that, what I think they play. Did they play in the Mohegan Sun? I think they do. I'm not positive on that, but that would be the arena that a lot of the big Connecticut games are played these days, in addition to campus. So when we're talking about the colleges, I'd be inclined, if I'm going to play the game, to take the generous points with Connecticut.
I'm going to wait till tomorrow to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But let me just say that we're going to be doing a lot of work on here. We've got money management to talk about. We've got the NFL, who has all kinds of stuff up already. First week lines. We've got
Season win
propositions,
totals.
win totals, everything. And we're going to talk a little bit off air about this, Andy, today. But we got these contests, And there's nobody better prepared to talk about contests than you. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to be posting that on this channel. This is, by the way, youtube.com, Proline TV. Like, comment, share, hit the button, get the bell ringing when we post something. And please send in your comments. We like getting the comments and interacting with our fans. And we really enjoy that. I hope you start doing more of that. Andy, I'm going to close it off for today, and then we'll have some conversation offline. Okay?
Sounds good. Good luck to everybody.
Thanks, everybody.